This is Stephen Howson, this is Full Time Devils, and this is tomorrow's transfers today. How is everybody doing on this Thursday evening? We have had a little bit of development on a couple of the transfers. I'm going to get to those right now in a second. But it's been quiet, hasn't it? It's been a strange one. I think there's a combination of what's going on over in the Confeds Cup. I think there's a little bit of some of the journalists are going on holiday, but just because things aren't being written about doesn't mean that things aren't progressing along. I've seen a lot of frustrated Reds on social media today just denouncing why there's been no movement. Just relax. We hadn't done any business this time last year, so just chill. It'll all fall into place if it needs to. So the first one that we're going to talk about today is a new name for this window, but not a new name for linking to Manchester United. It's Mats Marquinhos from Paris Saint-Germain. 23 years old, Brazilian international. A little bit. Linked with Old Trafford for the first time this year, and they're saying a €70 million transfer from PSG to Manchester United could be on the cards. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. This is reports from Brazil. This is Globo Sport coming from Brazil. They say it seems to have a bit of a bead on when things are happening, so it's a strange one for them to come out and say something is happening if it's not. But I just can't see Manchester United moving for another centre-half. That would be 3 centre-halves in 2 windows essentially now for Manchester United, as well as what we've already got at the club in terms of the youngsters coming through, as well as having a couple of centre-halves at the club already in the likes of Rojo and Blind, who, if not good enough to be first choice, or certainly good enough to be backup ones. So unless Mourinho is really thinking about having a 3 at the back next season, not sure where Marquinhos fits in. Good centre-half, but not what Manchester United need. I think United need, if we was going to buy somebody else, I would want someone different to what we've got, and that difference would be someone with experience, someone maybe on the opposite side of 30. So I've got to say, I rate this one fairly low in terms of happenings. A lot of cash to lay out. I don't think that necessarily affects what Manchester United are going to do, but it seems like that's a position that we're pretty stacked in. There's definitely bigger fish to fry, and that need frying. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me on the face of this one, so let's just park that for now. The next one is Fabinho. Now, there has been some talk from Fabinho. He's been teased a little bit. They've flung him a line out there, and they've basically asked him to go and tell us what's going on. And he's delivered to a little bit of an extent. So he was asked how he would feel about joining Manchester United in an interview with Esporte Interativo, and he replied saying, "It's a tempting invitation. I would first talk to my agent, Monaco 2, to decide everything right. It's a great club. Sure enough, I would think well about it." He was then pushed for a little bit more stuff about Jose Mourinho and Manchester United, and he didn't really give him much more than that. But I don't know if that's a come and get me plea, or if that's just a player that's talking to the press, and that's the sort of thing that he wants to put out there. Again, I always say don't listen to what players say, don't listen to what managers say, don't listen to what agents say. There's always an agenda out there. If United are in for Fabinho, I think that's a good thing. I think that is a position that's definitely going to strengthen us going forward into next season. A position that I think would really free up Ander Herrera and Paul Pogba to push on and get to that next level next season. We've seen how good Pogba can be for France. With that sort of player around him, I also think he can be that good in every game for Manchester United next season. And the final one we've got is a bit of a bittersweet one. That's Adnan Januzaj. There's been a bid of 9.7 million from Real Sociedad for the Belgian, and it's a case of what might have been. Broke into the first team on the back of winning Young Player of the Year after a title-winning season with the under-21s, and looked excellent under David Moyes. And I believe one of the reasons for that was he was given the freedom to just play his football. But there has been talk that he's not able to fully take on board the tactical element of the game, which was required by Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. And that's led to his development stagnating somewhat. As a player moves into his 20s, you would expect them to start picking up something to be able to offer the team more than just playing with that wantful abandon that a young player plays with. Disappointing loans at Sunderland and Borussia Dortmund. It's probably the right thing now to move on. I think Andreas Pereira has definitely overtaken Januzaj in the rating and the ranking at Manchester United. So I don't really have any bad feelings about it. It is a little bit bittersweet because he did burst onto the scene with so much potential. Not as a winger. He's never been a winger for me, but he's always just been like an attacking midfielder, perhaps a number 10. He's like a real Johan Cruyff sort of style of player, but clearly doesn't have that level of ability or isn't able to translate that level of ability into playing regular football. I'm going to come to the comments in a second and see what you guys are all saying. Philippe says, feel sorry for Januzaj, he just can't play right now. I can't feel too sorry for the guy. He's had the opportunity, he's had the world at his feet in this one, and he's just got to do a little bit better with the gifts that he's been given for me. He's not really lived up to what he could have lived up to. Ronak says, why does Jose have an Arsenal jersey and some dudes as his... What the hell is that all about? Lee Connolly says, we need Morata over the line. DiMarzio said, Bakayoko at Chelsea, 40 million is agreed. I think we'll get Matic. If we get Matic, we get Matic. I've seen a couple of people complaining that United are in for Talisca and Matic while other clubs are doing this. Listen, let other clubs do what they want. Other clubs always do what they want. What does it matter? We're Manchester United and we do what we need to do. Sometimes we sign underwhelming players and they turn out to be fantastic. I'm happy to put the faith in Jose and the team at the moment. I would love a big name signing like a Bale, someone that's really going to get the crowd on the feet, a Griezmann, someone like that would be absolutely fantastic. But you know what? As long as Jose gets what he wants, I don't give a shit who we get. So if we get Talisca and Matic, and that's what Jose thinks Manchester United need, cool. Zelo B says, bye, Fabinho. Julian Weigel's better than Fabinho for Man United. I like Weigl. I think he's an absolutely banging player. But it's not just... Is he better than Fabinho for Manchester United? Maybe he is, but is he available? Does he want to come? Those are questions that people seem to forget about when they're dealing in transfer windows, and they think that just because there's a player out there means that you can do a deal. You can't always do a deal, and ultimately that's what you're left with sometimes. Kane says, any possible striker transfers? Doesn't look like there's been any development so far. I did expect there to have been some development on the Morata one by this time this week, but there hasn't. If we, I'm sure it'll come off. So Gender Roy says, where is our Galactico signing? Well, do you know what? Under Ed Woodward, we've pretty much had a Galactico signing every single transfer window, and they've not all paid off. Falcao didn't work. Di Maria didn't work. Paul Pogba, well, he's worked for me. But they've not all worked. So sometimes it's not about... Look at that window when we signed Falcao and Di Maria. Who was the players in that window that you thought was going to go and do something for Manchester United? It was Falcao and Di Maria, wasn't it? But Daley Blind, Rojo and Herrera also came in that window. Look who's been kept around and look who's having that better career at Manchester United now. So for me, I'm happy with those so-called lesser signings if they turn out to be exactly what Manchester United need. And I think that's the top and bottom of it. Morata and James next season, says Sohail. I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think you can even start thinking about next season. I'm assuming you mean next summer's transfer window, not this season. I think you've got to just wait and see. Danny Alves, so United. Why? We've got a top right back, arguably one of the best right backs in the league. Why again, this is like the centre half thing all over again. Why are we even thinking about getting another centre half or another right back when there's positions like the number 9 in a team which need addressing this window? Simple as that for me. Screw Mbappe says wing. Okay. Would I sign Mertens from Napoli? Not sure. Evra at left back, he's amazing. I've heard of this Evra kid. He's got a little bit of experience about him as well, hasn't he? I wonder how much he loves the game. Yeah, if I don't care what the job is, I would bring Paddy Evra back for whatever reason. Isco says Sam Lake. If Isco's available, absolutely. But again, this isn't... I say this all the time, innit? It's not Tesco. You can't just walk in and pick something off the shelf. It's not that simple. Perisic news has gone quiet. Do I still see it happening, says Dean. I do see it happening. Like I said, just because it's gone quiet doesn't mean that things aren't happening. It goes quiet because the press aren't talking about it. And one of the reasons it might have gone quiet is because the press could be on holiday. The press could be tied up with a Confed Cup. The press could be tied up talking about someone else for a change. The press could be tied up dealing with, I don't know, tax issues for somebody. So there's not always no news is bad news sort of thing. No news can just be that they're not talking about it at the moment. Simple as that. Why don't we go for Aubameyang? I can't answer these questions about why Manchester United want to go for certain players and not other players. Maybe they've been in touch with him and he doesn't fancy it. That can happen. Maybe we actually get snubbed properly for once. Guledis says, Valencia is 32, we need to sign Semedo. Do we need to sign Semedo? Like, as in need? Do you think Valencia is going to break down this season? Because I don't. Any update on Jones and Smalling? No. I mean, Smalling just got married, and so I guess we'll figure it out what's going on after that. Any truth in Douglas Costa and Sanchez being available? Well, if there is, why are we asked? Why are we looking at other clubs' rejects and thinking that they're going to be good for us? Sanchez again the other day had an absolute stinker of a game. I asked you a couple of weeks ago, where is the hype for Sanchez? I'm seeing nothing from Sanchez that means that we should go out there and absolutely break the bank for the guy. I'm not seeing it. Do you know what we've got? We've got Fosu Mensah. Play that guy rather than going buying someone else's reject. What do I think about Chicharito? I think Chicharito would be a decent signing if you can get him nice and cheap. But on one hand, I don't think it would be, because he's not going to come back to United to sit on the bench after playing a whole season as the first choice striker. But I do think he would be a good option off the bench if he wanted to come off the bench, because he's completely different in the way he plays the game to the current set of strikers that we've got. And I always like that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Diversity in the style of play that you can throw in with the strikers. Why are we not buying Harry Kane? Do some of you actually listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth or that you're typing before you ask? Is that a serious question? That's not a serious question, is it? Why are we buying Harry Kane? Like, you can answer that question yourself. Felipe Anderson. Josh, we got linked to him in the transfer review that we did this week, didn't we? That's a name that's come out blast from the past. Again, that's another one of those sort of names that we always get linked to. And actually, we could probably do with at the moment. I just don't see that happening. We need a number 9 or a number 6, says Prestick. I agree on that one. Matuidi would be perfect. I do think Matuidi's not got a bad shout, you know. Is it okay if I spend 70 million on Dyer, says Jose Mourinho? No. How about that? The guy's still trying to find Paul Pogba from last week. Any youth players to watch out for at Manchester United? You've basically seen them all, I think. Leo Connor's probably going to step into the under-23s this season. He's a young right-back who's absolutely top draw. So look out for Leo Connor, young Irish lad, Irish captain. He's definitely one to look out for next season. Not sure he'll get an opportunity in the first team. Still very small, still a lot of learning for him to do. But definitely he's going to be one of the ones that you've not heard of. Because you know about Chung, you know about Gomez, you know about a lot of the other players that are coming through. So there you go. Can Blind be the permanent left-back? I like Blind's delivery. I just don't like how quick he is. And I think a team that plays with 2 centre-halves and essentially wing-backs, because the full-backs in Mourinho's systems have got a lot of attacking responsibilities. I think you're going to struggle with Blind getting up and down at the pace that he needs to. Adam Wardle show just puts Lukaku in all capitals. I agree. I don't know what the question is. I don't know what the statement is. But yes, Lukaku, whatever. Am I surprised that we haven't been linked with Schneider? There's still plenty of time in the window yet, son. And I think with Blind doing that photograph last week, then there's definitely going to be someone that bingo card get pulled out. Have you seen any from the bingo card this week? If you've seen any, make sure to tag us and throw the bingo card out there at people and see if we can finish this bingo stuff. Nainggolan or Fabinho. Look, again, these are 2 players that are absolutely banging. If we can get either of them, it's happy days, isn't it? Do you know what we need? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, says Gary Matthews. I agree. What's the best place for a pint in Manchester? Somewhere where you can get to the bar nice and early. Someone talking about Andy Carroll in the comments. I'm sure that's a troll. Don't know why Shaw is being written off. Ash, I completely agree with you, mate. Luke Shaw is absolutely banging. Luke Shaw is the sort of player that can go on and be world class, and I say that without any hesitation whatsoever. He needs patience. He just needs someone to put a bit of trust in him and a little bit of time, and I think he'll be sorted. Marshall is better than Perisic. Can you prove that? Do you know that that's what Mourinho's looking for? I don't think you can. Lewandowski will not happen. I agree on that. I'd love to see it happen. Lewandowski is probably the best number 9 in the world, but I do think everyone's getting played. We've been linked with Muller. We haven't been linked with Muller. Again, time in a window. That could happen. What do I think about Marshall's future? I think Marshall's still a young player. He's got quite a bit of experience for his age, but I do think he's the sort of player. Again, I think most players, if you put a bit of trust in them, you put a bit of faith in them, and you let them play the game, you're going to see a massive improvement in them, and he's definitely one of those. I love the way he comes in off that left-hand side. Where do I think Rooney will be next season? Harry Crabtree. It's looking more and more likely that he's going to be at United, isn't it? I thought it was an absolute certainty that he was going to be moved on. It doesn't feel like he's getting moved on at the moment. Maybe no one else can afford him. Maybe he's just going to run his contract down. It's pretty sad if that's the case. It's not really the way he should be finishing off, I don't think. But I don't see how Wayne Rooney enters that starting 11 and improves it at the moment. I really don't. Do I remember him back in '98? What? Is this Fabinho any good? What? Yes. Lucas says, does Pogba being in Designer's video mean Designer is fighting for United? Is this a serious question? Dybala, our first team striker. Again, we're not playing Footy Manager or FIFA here, lads. This is real life. You can't just go and say who's the best one. Like, everyone talking about Ronaldo coming last week. Why wasn't we talking about Messi and Lewandowski and that front three and how they're going to do next season? That's how unrealistic it was. Let's talk about players that we can actually sign, that we're actually looking at, that are actually going to improve Manchester United. That's what it's all about. Louis Joseph in the comments there says, Herrera for captain. Do you know what? There's a lot of the stuff that he's saying and doing which makes me think that he's definitely captain material. Bring back Memphis, says Sam. He had a great back half of the season, didn't he? Maybe it was too soon with him, but I don't think we should be going back and signing players that used to sign for us. I mean, that for a minute seemed like it was all we was doing, didn't it? Linked with Keane, linked with all these players that have played for us and we've let go and then want to come back. There's other players out there, you know. We don't just have to sign players that have been here before. Squad needs a trim down, says Outlook. Are you serious? We've got one of the smallest squads in the league. Would I spend 150 million for Kane? No, I wouldn't. Do I think Ronnie is coming home? I think he is at home, considering he's a Madrid player who lives in Madrid. Who do I think will be our centre-back partnership next season? I think it'll be Lindelof and Bailly. Although I'm a bit gutted because I really did want to see how Rojo and Bailly did with the pre-season together, because they looked pretty good towards the back end of last season. Someone in the comments here saying, do I rate Angel Gomez? No, I've only been banging on about him for 3 years. We should have signed Salala. Why? When's Gaitan's medical? About 5 years ago, I think. We'll be gutted if we miss out on Fabinho. Mourinho give him his debut at Madrid. He only played him once, though. Didn't he? I think it was once. Busquets is a dream signing, would be perfect for United. I don't think he'd do it in the Prem. How about that for a controversial opinion? How many strikers do we need? I think Mourinho thought he was getting Zlatan and some sort of Wayne Rooney last season when he came. So if Zlatan gets moved on and Rooney's not the Rooney that he expected him to be, I think you potentially need two. Potentially, depending on the style and where he sees everybody else playing. Why aren't we in for Ronaldo? Why aren't we in for Messi? Why aren't we in for Pele? We've got to keep Wayne Rooney. He is a legend. But so is Bobby Charlton. He's not on the playing staff no more. Why can't we just play Marshall up top? See, I think if you did actually work with Marshall on being a number 9, I think out of the two, Marshall's more ready to be a number 9, proper number 9 right now than Rashford is. But there's time and a place to use both of them. I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Kimmich, ideal signing, says Cougar something or other. Yeah, I like Kimmich. He's a good player. We need a big name signing. Dave James, no we don't. We don't need a big name signing. It would be nice if we had a big name signing. We don't need one. Guess what? If we don't sign a big name signing and September comes, what happens? Do we shut the club? We don't need a big name signing, do we? We clearly don't need a big name signing. Do you know what we need? We need Jose Mourinho to get the players in that he wants to get in. That's what we need. If one of them's a big name signing, fucking sweet. If one of them's not a big name signing, who cares? If Jose gets what Jose wants, then I'll be happy. How about that? Samuel Person says this isn't fucking career mode. Correct. Someone again asking the same question I've already answered about Harry Kane. No, I wouldn't pay 150 million for Harry Kane. We need Pepe. Again, we don't need Pepe. I like William. He would improve the team. William might improve the team a little bit on that right hand side. I think that's not a bad shout. Matic is the perfect signing. Is he the perfect signing? He's a good signing. But is he perfect? I think you might be getting a bit carried away calling him perfect. 9 Golan, again, is another one. What about James Rodriguez? What about him? Ask a proper question. How's that for an idea? What do I think about Naby Keita from Leipzig? Me and Dave went to Leipzig was it January we went? January or February, to go and watch them against Frankfurt. Keita was good. Timo Werner was good. I really enjoyed the style of play that they played as well. 4-4-2, not a traditional 4-4-2, but it was a 4-4-2, like a kind of narrow 4-4-2. But it was impressive the way they played, to be honest, and I did enjoy it. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. Thank you for joining us. Quick 20 minutes talking transfers there. All the content, as usual, with Full Time Devils. Make sure you hit that like button and hit the bell below as well to make sure you get notified anytime that we go live or do anything that is worth tuning in for. So thank you for watching. Get any of your comments in, all the rest of that stuff, and we'll answer some of those as the day goes on. And enjoy Friday. It's nearly the weekend, everyone. Laters.